How are COVID-19 deaths being counted? Let's get straight to the source. Here's Ngozi Ezike, the director of Illinois Department of Public Health.
I just want to be clear in terms of the definition of people dying of COVID. So the case definition is very simplistic. It means at the time of death, it was a COVID positive diagnosis. So that means that if you were in hospice and had already been given, a few weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death. It means that even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that that was the cause of the death, but they had COVID at the time of death. I hope that's helpful.
I shared this video on Twitter and Elon Musk responded to my post saying, would be helpful to distinguish deaths caused by COVID versus unrelated to COVID. I'm glad somebody in the technology and science field is on the same page with me, and it's cool to see him respond to me. He also yesterday shared this USA Today article, fact check, hospitals get paid more if patients listed as COVID-19 and on ventilators, which USA Today said are ruling true. We rate the claim that hospitals get paid more if patients are listed as COVID-19 and on ventilators as true. Even they won't deny it. And Elon Musk and I are not the only ones interested in this. A doctor out of California, Dr. Erickson, weighed in on his own press conference.
And what's interesting to me too is when someone dies in this country right now, they're not talking about the high blood pressure, the diabetes, the stroke. They say, did they die from COVID? We've been to hundreds of autopsies. You don't talk about one thing. You talk about comorbidities. Their vessels were narrowed. Their lungs were a smoker. COVID was part of it. It is not the reason they died, folks. It is one of many reasons. So to be so simplistic to say that's a COVID death because they have COVID, you know how many people die with pneumonia or people that die from with flu, I should say, it's not from flu. Their lungs were compromised by COPD. They had a heart attack 2 years ago. They have a weakened body. We aren't pressured to test for flu. But ER doctors now, my friends that I talk to say, it's interesting. When I'm writing up my death report, I'm being pressured to add COVID. Why is that? Why are we being pressured to add COVID to maybe increase the numbers and make it look a little bit worse than it is? I think so. So this is what I'm hearing from physicians I talk to in Wisconsin, New York, and everywhere.
And if you think I'm lying, Elon Musk is lying, or Dr. Erickson is lying, this extremely loose counting of the deaths is no secret. New York Times, breaking news. New York City's coronavirus death toll soared past 10,000 after officials added more than 3,700 people who had never tested positive for the virus, but were presumed to have died of it. Even Dr. Birx admits that they have a very liberal approach to counting COVID-19 deaths.
Can you talk about your concerns about deaths being misreported by coronavirus because of either testing or standards for how they're characterized?
So I think in this country, we've taken a very liberal approach to mortality. And I think the reporting here has been pretty straightforward over the last 5 to 6 weeks. Prior to that, when there wasn't testing in January and February, that's a very different situation and unknown. There are other countries that if you had a pre-existing condition, and let's say the virus caused you to go to the ICU and then have a heart or kidney problem. Some countries are recording that as a heart issue or a kidney issue and not a COVID-19 death. Right now, we're still recording it, and the great thing about having forms that come in and a form that has the ability to mark it as COVID-19 infection, the intent is right now that if someone dies with COVID-19, we are counting that as a COVID-19 death.
Can you be sure? You hear from coroners that that's not necessarily the case. Or are you sure? How can you be confident about that? And is there any concern that it skews?
I'm going to keep this video as simple as possible. People want to know how they're counting the deaths? I just told you, using the Public Health Director of Illinois, Dr. Birx, Elon Musk, Dr. Erickson, USA Today, and the New York Times. And if you consider that the confirmed cases is nowhere near the real cases of coronavirus, considering some people who have it are asymptomatic and haven't been tested yet, think of what that number is, and then understand that if anybody out of that number dies, even in New York, some of them have never been tested, and some of them had underlying conditions or something else that could have taken their life, and they had COVID-19, they are counting that as a COVID-19 death. That's just the reality of it. So let me know what you think in the comment section. We need to get this real science, this real data, and this real truth to the forefront, because there's a lot of liars, actors, politicians, and opportunists who are jumping on this pandemic to ignore science, data, and reality to play this game of let's see how long we could possibly close down America and smear, censor, and demonize anybody who uses actual science and data to come to real conclusions. Have a beautiful day. I'll be back with more videos.